by Zach. Alistar going in deep. What are we going to see this game around as Camille gets banned out from the Purpose Gamers?
Well, it looks like we're not seeing Camille. Kaisa banned out. Definitely a good ban. If you've been keeping track of the patch notes, I was just doing a quick refresher before this because we are on a new patch, 8.6 right now. Kaisa got basically buffed in every category. They gave her 25 more range, which holy crap was she needing more range. That was the thing that was holding the champion back. 500 range makes her almost unplayable. However, she was really like OP when she was ahead and terrible when behind. So she's feast or famine completely. It looks like an ADC pinch early. Both Zaya and Kaisa taken away. These could be focus bans onto a member of the Purpose Gamers, or it could just be preferential picks, maybe trying to get a good matchup in the bot side and maybe pinch out all of the mains from the other side's ADC. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I gotta say that it's probably both target banning and pinching the pool, because I'm probably, with the Janna pickup as well, that's going to be pinching the bottom lane as a whole. So, in my opinion, they're going to be picking up champions that they feel really, really strongly on, and hoping to have limited the champions on the enemy team that they hate playing against. And so, the Zaya, very strong, played quite heavily, both in solo queue as well as the LCS. Janna, very strong, though she did get the nerf to her shields. And so it is the Caitlyn pickup. Obviously, Bleach Pixel felt like the Caitlyn played a little poorly into that Janna-Zaya combo. And so instead, now feeling confident, picking up the Caitlyn. As once again, we see Zach. Saw him last game, going to see him a second time this game around, this time the Purpose Gamers with him in hand.
And Caitlyn also picked up. While she's not the glorious maiden of the bot lane that she once was. However, with everything else that's kind of a preeminent pick getting nerfed down, Tristana used to be the #1 player in bot lane. Now she's a semi-hyper carry. She does really well in the late game if you get to 6 items, but she doesn't have those mid-game. Her curve is a little bit awkward. It's the reason I don't call her a hyper carry. She does get to that state in the late game, but she has this really awkward power dip in the mid game, whereas a hyper carry starts off really weak, and once they get 2 items, they're doing decent in the mid game, and they just keep getting stronger into the late game. You follow that power curve on Jinx or Tristana, Kog'Maw, anybody like that. Once they hit a certain item point, they just get completely insane. Caitlyn starts off really strong, then hard dips on her first item, and then slowly moves back up. That's mainly because she doesn't have a good scaling ability, as well as missing an attack speed buff. Anyway, but enough about the bot lane. Looks like we're back in second phase banning, and it's going to be the Tristana picked up in the bot lane, as well as the Anivia. So we've got a good tank line coming out of the side of the Purpose Gamers, and a crazy late game scaling.
Yeah, I'm really seeing some initiation from the Purpose Gamers. They have that Tristana for the damage. Anivia also going to be heavily ranged. But besides the Zac, who's almost considered a diver of sorts, one would think that they would need another frontline tank, either that top lane Sion or bottom lane Leona, somebody that can sit in front of these carries. But the great thing about that Tristana and Anivia both is that they can be fairly safe damage dealers, because Tristana's rocket jump, as well as Anivia between the wall and having egg form as well, can avoid a lot of deaths in the game just through that CC. The Syndra pickup from Degenerate 5, massive if it can get ahead. Can one-shot Tristana despite her rocket jump with those chasing spheres of her ultimate, but needs to be able to get ahead and start that snowball to really be able to output that damage.
Yeah, Syndra is kind of the exact opposite of Anivia in the way. Syndra wants to win lane, get super far ahead, and then just start one-shotting people late game. However, Anivia just kind of wants to wave clear, maybe roam to side lanes every now and again, but she just kind of wants to sit mid, wave clear until she gets that crazy late game team fight control mage type damage that she's known for. Now, we've got Thresh picked up, super reliable pick. There's pretty much nobody you could play with Thresh. It's a bad play, I'd say. He's kind of a jack of all trades, brings a ton of CC to the bot lane, as well as the potential to set up ganks and, you know, stop people. You can peel, you can play catch, you can save your AD carry with Lantern. Good all-around pick. Morgana gonna be the counter coming out of Faith, though. So Thresh, not the best play into Morgana due to the black shield, really shutting down his engage. And Kled gonna round out all the positions. So what do you say we run through the champions and their players?
Yeah, well, I'm going to give them just a second to... Oh, it's actually, they have now loaded all of the characters in the right positions. So, for the Purpose Gamers, we've got Lion D. Kaiser taking Sion into the top lane. Split Mind with Zac in the jungle. King Zuggy with Anivia in the mid lane. ST or Star Tiger taking Tristana in the bottom lane AD carry role. And Faith with the Morgana in the bottom lane support role.
All right. And it looks like for the Degenerate 5, we're looking for Prank Crew on the Kled in the top lane, Zolakan on Sejuani taking that in the jungle, Xanion on Syndra in the middle lane, Pixel Bleach taking Caitlyn in the ADC, and Avidity on Thresh in the bottom lane support.
Yeah, these are much more rounded out teams than we saw in the last game. I think Faith's pick on the Morgana is going to be critical this game. Not only does she have the black shield to avoid Thresh's engages, but think about how much that can block for the Syndra. It won't block everything from her ultimate, but it can save lives. In addition to that, placing that on a Sion before he charges in, unstoppable and avoiding massive amounts of damage. Place it on the Zac after he tries to get into a bad situation. You've got double teleports from Anivia and Sion that are going to be able to save Zac if he gets split out in that passive. There's a lot of opportunities to save each other's players as well as make those engages. The one thing that I don't see from Purpose Gamers is after going into a fight, they have it's going to be very difficult for them to get out of a fight because they've got Sion and Zac going in deep, Anivia and Tristana that are going to be following up with damage. But other than Tristana hop away or maybe a miraculous Anivia wall, if they get into a fight that they don't want, I don't see them being able to escape it very easily.
Yeah, I mean, Zac has his ultimate to get away if he overcommits. Sion, not so much. So I see what you mean.
Unstoppable retreat.
Yeah, I always love watching Sion run away. It makes my day. Anyway, but you can kind of say the same thing from the side of the Degenerate 5. Kled's ult is a one-way trip. Sejuani, if she dives into the enemy team. Thresh, same thing. So it's kind of the same story. You're going to have two people, heavyweights, going into the ring, and only one's coming out in one piece. So all in all, looking for a bloody game, lots of team fighting. Both look just completely stacked for it. Sion and Kled, both engage monsters. Zac and Sejuani, same thing. And you've got some decent scaling out of both sides. Caitlyn should have the early game advantage over Tristana, but mid-game, if Trist gets a couple of kills, some reset, she can really start to take over a game in her own right. Same thing, you've got basically a story of winning lanes versus winning late-game team fighting. So Syndra Caitlyn beats Anivia Tristana, at least in straight-up champions, except you can, of course, outplay it in the Anivia matchup. If you dodge Syndra's Scatter the Weak, then that keeps her from canceling your ultimate. So there's a little bit of counterplay there. But all in all, from a champion perspective, Syndra should beat Anivia, and Caitlyn should beat Tristana in the early game. However, if those two can farm it out, get to the late game, and then carry their team to victory, we're looking at a W from the side of the Purpose Gamers.
And
However,
that's something... go ahead and finish your thought, and then I'll share.
Yeah.
additional piece.
However, if Degenerate 5 can make use of their lane advantages, get Syndra's steamrolling, Caitlyn's steamrolling, move around, use their advantages in side lanes, knock down towers, take objectives, and never give their opponents a chance to scale up and make use of their game, then you're looking at a W from the Degenerate 5. Now, what were you going to say, Jake?
I'm seeing massive wave clear from the Purpose Gamers. You've got Anivia, you've got Tristana, even a Scion Q does decent damage and lands enough CC. So even if they get pushed back and say that they lose an inhibitor, they're going to have the wave clear to be able to hold on until they're able to scale up. And one of those things about losing an early inhibitor is they're going to be able to clear that farm. It's coming to them, so they can keep getting stacked higher and higher and higher. So I think that this is going to, even if they do lose that early game, they will still be able to eventually come back in the game as long as they don't obviously lose their Nexus as well.
That's an excellent point, Jake. And especially a good point against the siege composition that Caitlyn always brings to the table. Setting up those traps around a turret and forcing your opponents off of them using the range to harass down towers is probably the best way to get ahead as Caitlyn. But the wave clear coming out of an Anivia especially can really just shut that strategy down. So an excellent point out right there. Now, as we load into the game, wondering if we're going to see any shenanigans, funky business. Are we going to see anybody try and get some invading going on? We always see that on our stream, but it looks like they're just pings for straight up defensive starts. No one wanting to kind of throw the game in the early, just in the early setup right there. So nothing interesting to speak of. However, Zach in a little bit of a compromising position, but he should be fine. There's not a lot of DPS coming out. Just a little tap. Kled showing Solomon mind who's boss.
Yeah, he's like, I got a bear trap on a rope. You definitely need to see it as a jelly monster. It's really important that you check this out. So wards down from both sides, trying to get a little bit of vision to see where the enemy team is going to move. Now, one of the things about the Zac is that he can clear the waves or clear the jungle very quickly if he wants to do a very early gank. I've seen him in the LCS being able to pull blue buff and Gromp together to deal extra damage, bounce back and forth between the two. He has decent AoE. Sejuani on the opposite side does that as well. It is so hard to set a Sejuani behind because she can just AoE farm the jungle so quickly, and she has that extra magic armor against jungle camps. So I'm seeing a lot of heavy farm very early on to the game, and then focus on trying to get ganks, get that lane pressure, get your Syndra or your bottom lane Caitlyn rolling very quickly.
So you're just seeing the buffs taken early. Now I want to take a look and see who took what in their keystones. Yeah, it looks like Kled. No, he pressed the attack, not Conqueror. Which is strange because Conqueror seems to be one of those excellent runes for Kled, wanting to be that top lane duelist, but it doesn't look like anybody went with the new rune just yet. Maybe going with Old Faithful. Lion Dekai's are really synchronizing that Q up with the pop bear trap on the rope, managing not to get it canceled. Good little micro there. Nothing interesting happened yet.
Nice harass onto Xenon as well. King Zuggy in the mid lane just trying to harass as much as possible. The Syndra, as we said, going to have a little bit of that early advantage. Faith getting knocked down very low. The very squishy Morgana in the bottom lane with headshots from Caitlyn, going to take some good harass in the top lane. Fled as well, but we saw him last game. He's going to be in this one as well. And one of those things is that he has that returning health from Skarl, and so he just needs to wait for that Cowardly Lizard to come back up. Sejuani already in the top lane. Nice hook onto Tristana in the bottom lane, but the Black Shield keeps Tiger alive and able to just go right back to farming.
It's like we said, this early game Thresh is going to have a lot more pressure than the early game Morgana, and definitely a lot more than the early game Tristana. who really isn't that potent of a champion in the early stages.
Sejuani got a little bit of an invade, getting a ward down, saw where Zach was, able to keep track of that Jelly Blob as he moves around the map. Should know that he's headed towards the bottom side, and that means that Degenerate 5 should probably pull back and play a little bit safer if they're paying attention to where the enemy team is going.
Or take tower shots.
Or take tower shots. Something to note as well is it's an Infernal Drake start to the game. So this could be hugely impactful depending on who gets it first. Skarl's back, however, okay, I thought Lion might go in on this one, but I think his cooldowns kept him from going in too hard on Prankaroo.
Yeah, he's landing a decent amount of poke onto the Kled despite everything, managing to dodge out on the bear trap on rope every now and again, keeping his health total up. And Kled's in something of a dangerous position being on this side of the map. Now, granted, the wave is pushing back to him, but fighting in this mid
Lion's going to be flashing, but he's still going to go down. Skarl absorbing that tower shot, and I don't think that the Undead Scion's going to be able to finish it off. So a nice first blood coming out from Degenerate 5's top laner. And I was going to note as well that Scion was having trouble. He had to move forward out of tower range because he was losing farm. He's still 10 farm behind and dead. He's going to be forced to use his teleport to get back to the top lane, and being that far down, Kled is going to have a serious advantage in that top lane.
Yeah, seriously. It was a little bit... I was a little bit skeptical of that all-in coming out of Kled, but I underestimated the fact that Scion had started Sorcery Tree. So really, he's no more tanky in the early stages of the game before he gets items than Syndra. Really, no stats to speak of. So, well, once again, you see this all-in taking him straight down to half health and just one all-in. He's gonna have to wait for the wave to shove back toward him, and this could be another kill.
Yeah, it's a nice pull from Bear Trap on a rope immediately into the 3 quick auto attacks. Extra damage, Tiamat finish, another auto attack, and Kled is on a roll. Prankaroo leading the charge in the top lane. Now already, we're not even 6 minutes into the game, having picked up 2 kills in the top lane. The snowball is real. Stun onto Nivea in the mid lane. Zolcan tries to get in. Nice flash from King Zuggy, but the spell will be down. A little bit of a dark binding onto Caitlyn, but the dark passage from Thresh should keep her just fine.
And you're seeing a substantial CS lead in the bottom lane, from about close to 14 CS over the Tristana at the moment, and it looks like Caitlyn is trying to slow push this wave in, get as much harass down on the tower. You see the 6s tick in the mid lane though, which marks the passage of farm right here, and it's 6 versus 5 in the top lane, and Kled theoretically could end up with another kill here in a second. He might go back and purchase beforehand, but there's definitely the possibility of him even coming bot and forcing an engage using his ultimate.
It would be even worse in the bottom lane. You just saw Tristana tick 5 now, but Degenerate 5's bot lane has been 5 for a while, and that's just because they've been forced off of so many minions being in the mid lane. Caitlyn both pushing minions under turret, but at the same time also being able to get some good distance between the bot lane from the Purpose Gamers and herself. And so Tristana down nearly 15 farm.
It is somewhat to be expected. Tristana not one who farms well under turret, as well as Caitlyn being someone who is excellent at pressuring. Thresh has also been using the Fog of War to his advantage, and getting sorry, frog in my throat, and getting good crit shots down onto Tristana, dropping her health very low, and also managing to catch Morgana in that AoE of her Q. So really putting a lot of hurt down to the bot lane, which is how the lane is supposed to be played. So we'll see once some items come through exactly where the DPS lies in the mid to late game out of these lanes. But right now, winning lanes are winning for the side of Degenerate 5.
Yeah,
which is, of course, what they want.
And it is, as you said, to be expected a little bit. Nivea slow to farm in the early game. Once she gets her ult, though, as she has now, it's just going to be able to lay that down, has the Tear of the Goddess to spam it, and get all of that extra minion kills. In the bottom lane, I wanted to note, surprisingly, despite being so far ahead in farm, the item advantage is only ever so slightly in Caitlyn's favor with that health potion. Otherwise, they have about the same items. Ult from Caitlyn just going to land on Tristana, who's forced to tank it in the mid lane. A nice engage. I believe it was a Sejuani ultimate that is going to stop Anivia, and the stun comes up. Egg Form's not going to save her, and Xenion gets to pick up first kill of the game.
Yeah, first blood going over to Syndra, definitely, or not first blood.
No, it's like third
first
blood.
Kill in the, first kill in the mid lane. Pardon. Going over to the Syndra, definitely good for the snowball in that lane. Also burning down the Anivia ultimate. Definitely have to give props over to Sejuani, taking advantage of the flash that she blew earlier, knowing that the very immobile Anivia would have difficulty getting away from that that gank, taking advantage of that and getting a kill down onto the mid laner. Well done.
Indeed. So now 3 kills up, already 2,000 gold and more in the lead. Degenerate 5, putting the pressure on, getting some wards down in the enemy team's bot lane. You can see it is very heavily warded, clearing out all that vision. Splitmind trying to take some of it back. However, the Infernal Drake down there is going to be the ultimate goal that Degenerate 5 want. And so by being able to keep an eye on where the enemy jungler is, they can eventually move down there and pick that one up. But both junglers headed to the bot lane. It may be a dive and counter dive in the bottom lane if Sejuani decides to go in on that. Her ult's not available yet, but it looks like they are going to back off as she doesn't want to engage without that ultimate.
Yeah, definitely loving the wave positioning from Pixel Bleach here. Playing this lane very well, knowing that if Tiger leaves this, he's going to have to disrespect the brush. The fact that Avidity is down there with a control ward in the brush means that stepping up here is terribly dangerous. However, the fact that there is more minions for the side of the Purpose Gamers. Hold on, we've got a hook coming down.
Yeah, a nice little flay there into the Thresh ultimate, but the flash from the Morgana forced out. She is going to be safe. Sion in the top lane definitely going to have some issues. He's already down almost 35 minions in the mid lane. Anivia, while not going to do much to stop the Syndra, however, Anivia is going to be cleaned up once again. Quick, easy kill between the CC from the Sejuani and the Syndra, able to just layer that effectively. And across the map, Degenerate 5 are just devastating the Purpose Gamers in every lane.
Yeah, definitely just across the board, CS leads and kill leads in all lanes. It's really getting obscene down in the bot side. That freeze and slow push against the Tristana by the Caitlyn really just destroyed the CS. It had been around 15. Now it's 94 to 60 right now. It's just insane the amount. And of course, Caitlyn is supposed to win this lane, but excellent play by Pixel Bleach has really... Hold on, we've got a 1v1.
Nice flash there from Pankaroo. Lion DK in trouble. I'm just going to quick spam to the bottom lane where they are taking the Infernal Drake. Degenerate 5 able to clear away the enemy's vision, and now are going to be picking up that Infernal Drake for themselves and just scaling their lead even higher.
And that Infernal Drake, so important. It looks like there's going to be another one. So while the late game scaling is in the favor of the of Team Purpose Gamers, that the late game scaling offered by an Infernal Drake, that extra 8% can really just put it over the top, and that's first turret over Pankaroo and another kill.
Yeah, he's just going to be continuing to clean up this game, getting so massively ahead. That early Tiamat being able to align with his quick auto attacks to reset that damage even faster. And he is crushing that top lane 3-0. The camera keeps panning to him because he's just so far ahead in the game.
The Degenerate 5 in a very commanding lead. They picked early game winning lanes and they won the lane. So often we see...
The flash Thresh hook just lands on a minion. Doesn't time it with the minion wave coming in. They were a little out of vision. And Flash in just hooked a minion just to pull it in to help the ADC out. Flay onto the Morgana, dealing a little extra damage, but that's going to be all that she wrote until the Kled comes charging in with the teleport from the top lane after backing, but straight onto the Tristana, follows through, and that's massive damage onto Morgana as well. A 5-man gank in the bottom lane, but only 4 are needed to pick up those 2 kills and get the bottom lane turret. And this game is just completely one-sided in Degenerate's favor.
Yeah, Degenerate 5 just completely taking over. Probably going to get a second bot lane turret. Top lane completely taken down already, and they can rotate this power into the mid lane afterwards. Go back by after taking this turret if they so choose, and it looks like they are going to hang around. Anivia does have the potential.
Split mine trying to get in. However, he might end up getting split himself. Caitlyn underneath the turret, but Thresh is tanking it all up. Passive has been popped.
That
and
was
it's going
clean.
to go back together. A couple extra tower shots onto Pixel Bleach, but that's going to force them to back away. So with that Infernal Drake and an extra tower in the bottom lane, they are now massively pushing 7,000 gold in the lead. Make that 8,000 with the mid lane turret as well.
Yeah, and the Infernal Drake, and with another one spawning in just under 4 minutes, you're going to end up having a greater lead, unless...
Oh, Dark Binding onto the Thresh. That's going to spell first blood for the Purpose Gamers, as Tristana's going to go in hard onto Caitlyn, who doesn't have any mana. She's forced to use the heal, but we don't see the fight because in the top lane, the no mana Scion is going to be taken out by Pankaroo, and it looks like in the mid lane, Tristana uses the heal to give her a speed boost just to catch the Caitlyn one more time. In the top lane, they find the Scion. Singed picking up the kill that time, saying, Kled, you can't have all the fun.
Wow, Singed picked up the kill? That's amazing.
I know, do not chase the Singe. Sorry, Syndra gets that extra little damage. Anivia wall forcing Syndra into the ult from Anivia. However, Sejuani is here, tanking up a lot of damage, just trying to make sure that they keep off of this turret. As the Purpose Gamers are trying to respond in the mid lane. Passive used by Anivia now in the mid lane as well. Zac goes in deep, and Sejuani in trouble. She might be able to grab the Thresh Lantern. Just kidding. Zac stands on it, and the Sejuani Boar Rider is going to fall. Can the Siege make this turret in the mid lane fall?
Whoa.
Not with the wave clear that Syndra has. Nice flash, keeps herself alive after the Dark Binding from Morgana. Fate trying to land some of these more important spells. Early game had trouble, but now that she's free to move around the map with the rest of the team, able to use that Dark Binding to greater effect.
That could be a glimmer of hope we see, because that's 2 kills onto Tristana and 1 kill onto Anivia. Those are your late game scaling carries. It doesn't matter if Scion dies. As nice as it is to have Kled ahead, Scion being dead, the only thing that's doing is giving over gold Kled, but it's not as if your carries are being smashed out. We don't need them to be late game damage sources. If Scion can get some tanky stats under his belt, he'll be fine.
Okay, so that's the recalls canceled from the bottom lane from the Purpose Gamers. I wonder if they were going to play Fate and try to... That got me in a game the other day. I saw somebody recall just before, it was like a Jax jumped on her, and so I tried to do it myself, and he was able to land it. It made me sad. But Rift Herald started from Degenerate 5. Zac comes in, Sejuani knocked up, but it is 3v2. Now that the Anivia has joined the fight, Scion Charge goes in, locking out the Thresh. Avidity may be falling here in just a moment. Rift Herald still joining the party. Caitlyn doing massive damage, and now the Syndra arrives. Quick, easy kill. Nice from Degenerate 5 to delay the fight up until the Syndra could arrive. Double kill for her.
Yeah, and you see the bot lane from the Purpose Gamers is still bot, answering the split push from Kled. There needs to be Scion's job right now, and they lose that fight because they don't have sustained damage coming out of Tristana. Now, if Scion does need a little bit more support in that lane, then you could potentially allocate Morgana down to that side of the side of the map. But you really do need your ADC in these fights, especially considering how far ahead Caitlyn is.
That's going to be Rift Herald picked up by the Sejuani. He's going to be able to just go home and find a nice place to drop Shelly. It is going to be a second Infernal Drake spawning from the enemy, or from the jungle, sorry. And that's going to scale Degenerate 5 even more, because they should be able to lock it up unless the Purpose Gamers rushes it while several members of Degenerate 5 are recalled. I don't think they're going to get there in time now.
Indeed. Yeah, it should be. This one should just be free for Degenerate 5, but I do expect the Purpose Gamers to put up a little bit of a fight for it. Xanion rotating toward that side of the map, and I'm pretty sure King Zuggy's going to follow him over that way. But it looks like neither of them are going to be in time. Xanion might be able to make it there, but no.
Zach kidnaps 2 over the wall. Kled actually accidentally falls. Charges in. Nice black shield onto Zach. Keeps alive for the moment. Redemption down as well, but it's not going to be nearly enough now that Singe has arrived. Tristana hops the wall to her own doom with the Singe ultimate, like we talked about, following her and giving a triple kill to the now 8-0 Xanion.
Yeah, so that was about the most crushing fight that could have happened there. Worst of all situations. Zach goes for the steal, but brings 2 back over, and they lose 3 and the inhibitor. This could potentially be the game.
Going to fall. Shelly here as well. Going to take that down. We might, depending on how long Shelly survives, see a Shelly dance if she can get the inhibitor down. However, Zach, Tristan, and Morgana here to try to defend. Split Mind, though, going to be in trouble because he doesn't have his passive. Tristana dies very quickly as Prankaroo wipes her off of the map. The Flay from Avidity keeping the passive from Zach on cooldown. Morgana still alive, but not for long, as both of them are going to fall. Shelly taken out by the Nexus turrets, but this game should be already in the books for Degenerate 5.
Yeah, Degenerate 5 with a commanding performance here. And it looks like they are going to take the more conservative route and back off, though. If they just 5-man stack, they could have ended right here. But definitely it's always good to see a team play conservative and not go for the greedy end. But in this case, I really do think they could have gone for it and not been punished. They do, of course, have the late game scaling now with the double Infernal Drake, 16% onto that late game scaling. Additional ability power and AD is going to give them a crazy late game potential. So they're not necessarily in a hurry to end the game out, but still. Sometimes, I can't tell you how many times in games where we've just been on the Nexus and, the team just wants to BM and get just 3 more kills. They're only a couple more members. The game's in the bag anyway. The Nexus is like a 1/3 health. It's like, it's okay. And then you get wiped. And you're like, okay, we'll just run it down mid and we'll win. And then 2 or 3 people die, and you give over a Baron, and suddenly the game turns around.
Yeah, Zach's over. Nice knockback from the Tristana, but shouldn't be able to last very long. That is a super tanky Guardian Angel Kled, who, despite Skarl going to be falling in a moment, doesn't even need Skarl. The Zanya's used. Caitlyn here just waiting it out, lays the trap, the truest of traps, under the Zanya. Anivia cleans up that one. 22 kills, 2-3. Second place team from last year gonna continue to reign supreme as they're gonna try to pick it. There's another kill up on the Morgana. Syndra cleaning that one up solo before the rest of the team can get there. Thresh trying to pull Zach off of the base, plays him into the rest of the team. There is a little bit of a slow, but nobody wants to dive into the fountain just yet. The fountain plays, are they real? Scion charges in. He's hanging on to the side, tries to get healthy even with the redemption. Not gonna be enough. And all of Degenerate 5 clean up the rest of the Purpose Gamers under their own fountain, and the Dabbing Penguins to finish the game off. Wow, that was a commanding victory.
That was a commanding victory. Dang. Yeah, just calling out, and then probably going to give massive credit over to, well, you have to give credit to Xanion first. The fact that Syndra took an advantageous matchup and just snowballed it into a crazy victory. What I said in the early game, you have 2 win conditions here. You pick winning lanes that get outscaled. So you have to win lane. You have to continue moving around the map, get objectives, get plays, force fights, and keep your enemy completely on the back foot all game. I said earlier that that was going to be the win condition for D5, and they pulled it off, executed to a T, took all the objectives off the map, only gave over, I believe it was 3 kills the entire game, kept the snowball rolling, and got a win in under 25 minutes.
I'm not even sure that the Purpose Gamers got a tower that game. I'm pretty sure they unless Scion got top lane turret. I'm not positive. I know he was beating on it for a while, but I don't know. I'm actually going to check quick.
Okay. So let's see. But for have to give special credit to Pixel Bleach. Something that I'm a real sucker for is wave control. It's something that while I see a lot of mechanical gods, people who are just crazy good with their keyboard and mouse and can outplay people, sometimes that doesn't impress me quite as much as cerebral play and planning things out. Pixel Bleach in the bottom lane had a decent CS lead straight up just from mechanics underneath the tower. Once she had a lead on the Caitlyn, allowed the wave to push back to her, moving it toward the tower and zoning the enemy Tristana, zoning Tiger completely out of XP range as well as gold, shutting down the main late game win condition for the opposing team. Excellently played, and it had nothing to do with mechanics. It had everything to do with thought and an understanding of proper wave control. Massive props for that, because it's what I really like to see in playing. Of course, Xanion just straight out playing in the mid lane, just destroying his opponent. Zolakon, good props there for blowing flash on Anivia and then continually reganking that lane until flash. Yeah, knocked out the passive. He blew the flash the first time, then knocked out the passive, got a kill onto his mid laner, and then came back again with the ult straight over the wall and zeroed him out again. And of course, we have to give the last props over to Prankaroo, who just continually solo killed Sion in the top lane for 30 some odd minutes. It was, even though the game only lasted 21, it felt like 30 some odd minutes. But of course, you can't give all the credit. The Purpose Gamers did manage to play well, and I have to give it over to Splitmine and King Zuggy for playing pretty decently. Splitmine had a couple of ganks, and he had an attempted steal, didn't win the smite fight, but almost got that first Infernal Drake over. King Zuggy managed to stall out the game longer than he should have been able to, shutting down a little bit of Caitlyn's wave clear with the ultimate. So good play out of both of them. Anyway, so I think, are we prepared for game 3, or is that going to be a second game?
I think we're going to give it a couple minutes and then get into game number 3, but I did want to note as well myself a little toss out to Faith on the support. The reason being that during the actual laning phase, very hard time, couldn't get much from it, but was one of the reasons why they're able to catch out people in their own jungle and get Tristana those 2 kills, chasing the Caitlyn down through the jungle all the way into the mid lane, and then starting that siege on the mid lane turret. But as we said earlier, they weren't able to get a single turret from that game, and that's going to be the Purpose Gamers falling down one game. We'll be right back, guys. Don't worry, with our third game of